everyone, and today I'm here to talk about an interesting road system that I found and I've driven through partially when I was in places like Denver and Sacramento and San Francisco. I always came across this road called the Dwight D. Eisenhower Freeway or Highway. Now, I wanted to do a little more research to see if there's an entire route to this highway, and it turns out there is. It goes all the way from San Francisco to Baltimore, Maryland, and actually closer to the DC metro area, where it ends at I-270 495 interchange. So this route follows a bunch of segments. And today I'm going to be talking about them. But before we get into the video, can you please like and subscribe? I'm a small creator and I'm trying to get at least 10 subs and help a normal noob out here. And can you subscribe? Thank you. So to begin with the video, we have the stretch of I-80 from San Francisco, California, all the way to Cheyenne, Wyoming. This passes through the I-80 segment of California, Nevada, Utah, and almost the entirety of Wyoming, with Cheyenne being the last city before the next state. But then at Cheyenne, Cheyenne is not much of a biggest city. I think it's the smallest capital in all of America, and all it is a major intersection between I-80 and I-25. But the next segment continues on. The next segment is I-25 from Cheyenne through South Greeley, through Fort Collins, a little bit of Boulder, but all the way into Denver. And this segment of the Dwight D. Eisenhower Highway only passes through 2 states, and not even the entirety of them. So this is generally a small segment, but it's not that. It's quite big considering the next segment is the smallest of the entire route. This is Interstate 270. Coming from I-25, it has a small junction alongside US 36 and I-25 South, and a bunch of other things, including I-76, US 36, US 6, and even State Route 224. Here, I-270 is a small bypass to connect I-25 and US 36 to I-76. Sorry, I-70. My bad. And it also connects I-76 to both these freeways. And this is the smallest segment, I-270. As it then continues onto the longest segment, which is kind of weird because we just went through the smallest segment. The longest segment is all the way from Denver, Colorado to Fredericks, Maryland, outside of the Washington metro area. This is I-70, spanning multiple major cities from Denver to Kansas City to St. Louis to Indianapolis to Columbus to bypassing Pittsburgh and finally to Washington. Right before it ends, it has an interchange with Interstate 270, which is our last segment of the entire route. I-270 starts from its northern terminus in Frederick, Maryland, and carries the entire designation the whole way through, all the way until its final interchange with I-495. And this is the end of a major highway we're talking here. This highway has spanned at least 1,000. This highway spanned over 3,000 miles, involving 5 different routes, and it ends as a spur route that's outside of the Washington D.C. metro area. And if you want to, you can always travel this route, this whole segment. If you want to, you can always go from San Francisco to Washington D.C. I know there's faster routes available than just taking this, but this is a pretty good route. In fact, I think half of it is on the Eisenhower Highway. Except it tells you to take mostly I-80, passing through Chicago, and instead of that, you take this south route. I'm not good with my eastern interstates, so if you know what that is, please tell me in the comments section. Well, basically, yeah, that's it. And I just thought it was a fun little interstate, or a fun little highway that's mostly comprised of interstates. And I just wanted to talk about it in this video, and I just highlight the cool things about it, like how it's mostly rural for the western, which is quite common for most of these things. It honestly, it's like West I-80. It's like taking the western designation of I-80, the unknown segment of I-25, this random interstate that nobody knows about, and the biggest segment of I-70. Denver's probably the biggest city after. Denver's probably the first big city after I-70 actually begins. Because it begins in the middle of nowhere, Utah, and Denver's the first major city. After that, we get Topeka, Hayes, the city of Kansas itself, Kansas City, which is in Missouri, St. Louis, Missouri, Indianapolis, Columbus, and almost Pittsburgh. I don't want to say the actual Pittsburgh, and Washington. So this is quite interesting. And we also got it actually going into Washington. So yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about in this video. Make sure you like and subscribe, and bye.